Hello and welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin,
And I'm Sean.
and we're glad you're here. For the next 15 minutes, we'll talk about a sales issue, big and small, for salespeople, sales leaders, and selling situations. We're glad you're here, and let's get started.
Hey, Kevin, it's not Christmas yet, but we're getting really close. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of a last minute Christmas shopper. I'm better since this whole buying on Amazon started to happen. But back when I only bought at this various outlets or the various malls, I was adamant about when I go in, I'm just going to buy. And I'm not worried about which one I'm going to buy, the various options. I know what I'm going to buy. I have my list. How fast can I get done? Because there's way too many people in the store. Now, it's not that time of year yet for people. Actually, if you're really smart, you're actually buying now because you got a couple of weeks to go before Christmas. However, we only have a couple more days to sell. It's getting really close to that magical December 15th. And as we said in our last podcast right before Thanksgiving, we talked about December 15th is kind of the end for B2B sales. It's kind of the end of the year. So it's time to focus on those couple deals that we can really close. And don't worry about the deals that we're struggling to get done that are probably not going to happen. And we might as well just save them for next year.
That's a good reminder for everybody. We don't need to force things or try and force things unnecessarily. What we need to do instead, and I really like your analogy of I'm not shopping, I'm buying. I like the idea that we need to actually force rank all of our open deals. And for those of you who say, what does force ranking your open deals mean, Kevin? I'm glad you asked. That means that you're going to look at your deals not from a dollars perspective, not from a date perspective. It's from a probability of them closing, not the length of time or stage in your pipeline. It's the probability of them closing. So if you are working with 40 deals, what are the top 5 or 6 that are likely going to close? You're having active discussions with the right people that have got approved budget. You've asked all the hard sales questions. So now we have to focus on those because those customers need that attention. Frankly, we should be doing this year round. We should always be looking at the probability there and talking to the right people at their right time because they're the customer. They're the ones who've raised their hand and said, oh, it's time. So in this 15 workday sprint, there's 3 weeks left till the 15th. In this 15-day work sprint, we're going to get very intentional around what are we doing day in, day out. We don't have time for fluff, for networking meetings that are new. We're not trying to fill our calendar with stuff to do. We're trying to get the stuff on our calendar that needs to get done.
I agree. Now, when I worked for a big company that didn't care about the profitability at the sales leader, sales manager level, because he was more worried about making his number, making his quota, we would do some really bad deals. We would do discount deals. We would give away a 5 or 10% discount for the end of the year, more than what we normally would. So buy in on December 15th, and we'll give you another 5% than what you were going to do on January 5th. Now, that kind of made sense when I'm working for a really big company, but our target market for this podcast and most of the people listening to this podcast are working for relatively small companies, companies where that 5% for 15 days is just a bad deal for the company. So we don't need to be making hairy, crazy, stupid deals just to get the deal in for the quarter. We need to worry about getting deals in that are profitable for the company to do. And in order to do them, you need to focus on the deals that are ready to close. And you need to focus on getting them done. And Mr. Customer, I need to pay attention to you. We need to talk about it. How do we get this done? No, you're not going to get a discount. How do we get this done? You need it. I need it. You have to use your budget, Mr. Customer, and I need to fill my budget. So let's make a deal happen. So focusing on that, don't focus on what if I gave him a 22% discount that was only good for the next 3 days? You know what? That's not the kind of deals you want to do. Those are bad deals for profitability of your company. So don't do them. Fill your last days of the year with deals that are going to close. Focus on getting them done and focus on asking the valuable questions, making sure you know what is their buyer's journey? What do they have to do in order to get the deal done? What you don't want to have happen as the salesperson is to find out that that last signature on the authorization is by Joe, and Joe has 6 weeks of vacation left in the year, and he has to use it or burn it, and you don't need to depend on him. So if you find out that you need to get approval from Joe, but Joe isn't going to be around for the month of December, then just face it. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a January deal. Focus on Harry. Harry's still around until the 15th. So focus on getting him to buy, get his signature, and get the deal done.
Having been a salesperson and a sales leader and a VP, I mean, we've sat in all the seats, so we've been around all these conversations. And what I find is that, yes, it may feel good to chase that trophy and win that trophy or the size deal because it's the biggest deal in company history or something. Invariably, when we get to that push versus pull moment and we sacrifice some margin points or we give a little more than we really should, it always comes back to bite us. And you're actually conditioning the buyer to buy from you like that. So we have to take our own medicine. We have to say, this deal works best when we do this. Focusing on the right things is never a wrong thing. So as we're thinking forward through all of your deals in the next 15 work days till December 15th, I want to encourage you. What would you do if it was April 12th, July 8th? How would you approach this deal? Have your plan now, because it's going to be a good plan if you'll think about it and not pressure yourself with the end of the quarter. And if you do work for a really big company that's publicly traded and they're worried about, quarter end and shareholder things, you're going to see some of this. You're going to get the call every day because your biggest deal isn't going to close or is slipping to January because, in Sean's example, Joe's on vacation through the end of the year, but Harry's here now. And your commissions are largely based on what you close and deliver. So let's close and deliver those, because whether it's $10,000 deals or $100,000 deals, the commission is going to be the same if you're on a commission plan that a fifth grade math person can do. So the net out here is be intentional with your time. This is a time management moment. Don't get caught up in the hype of what's my biggest deal. Get caught up in the hype of what relationships have I secured and what deals are going to close, and focusing on them. Those customers will appreciate your attention and they'll appreciate your organization.
Okay, so let's just pretend that now it's December 18th. I think that's the Monday after the 15th, if I remember right, when I looked at the calendar. You did all your deals. You're pretty much done. Maybe there's one more left and you can focus on that. That's the week when you do the holiday thank yous. That's when you go to all your best customers and you say, can I take you to lunch? Can I take you to breakfast? Can I bring donuts in? That's when you're the really, really nice salesperson that is just saying happy holidays. It's been a great year. It's been great to know you. Don't do that before December 15th. Before December 15th, you need to be closing. You fully know that when you show up on December 18th, the 19th, and 20th, it's a sparse shop at your customer. Most of the people are taking off. They are off to see Aunt Eleanor. They're off to Florida, whatever they're doing. They're off to see Grandpa and Grandma already. They're using up their vacation time, but there's going to be a couple of people there. So you're going to be able to bond with some of those people. So do it then. Do that relationship building, the holiday lunch, do all that stuff then, but you got to get your deal done by December 15th. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. You got to get it done by the morning of December 15th, because on December 15th, your best customer is going to go to lunch and then is going to disappear for the rest of the weekend because he has to go Christmas shopping. So you need to get it done that morning. So really think about the urgency of how do I get this done? Map out your paperwork process. So I don't know what it takes to get a deal done for your company. I really don't, because you're listening to the podcast and I'm not even sure who you are. Do you have to get a contract signed? Do you have to get a purchase order? Do you have to get both? Well, how do you do that within that organization? Is there going to be somebody around that's going to actually do it? And you're not going to offend your customer if on December 5th, December 3rd, you're asking them the question, is Joe going to be here? Is Sally going to be here to do this? It's not going to hurt you to ask that question. It's not going to be upsetting to the customer. You need to ask the question. And then when it comes around for the week after the December 15th, the week of Christmas, that's when you do the, hey, let's have a drink together. Let's have the fun. Let's have the Christmas holiday. But until then, you got to be businesslike. You got to get it done. Hurry up. Don't give away the farm on discount, but go get the deal.
Let's pretend here for a minute that somebody's listening in listener land and they're saying, okay, I'm the CEO owner of my small business and I've never had this conversation before. I find when I'm working with business owners and founders and leaders, or even ones who haven't been out selling actively, they've been managing people for a long time, getting those words out can be a challenge. So let's you and I workshop this a little bit live. So if I'm doing this for one of the companies I'm prospecting on December 5th, or if by the end of this week, I'm going to try and not wait till December. I'm going to say, hey, prospect number one, I know we're just coming off the Thanksgiving holidays, and I know this deal is not done yet, but I do want to ask a few questions of you, just so I've got my mind wrapped around your process. What is your process internally for getting me set up as a vendor? I know we've got other things to deal with, but what's your process? Do I need to do any forms or fill anything out? Would it be beneficial for your legal team to go ahead and have a term sheet for me, just a preemptive term sheet? I don't know if that would help, if they would like to preview that, because I've already got that as boilerplate for me. Would that be helpful? That can just get the conversation started. If you're dealing in a manufacturing environment, hey, we're looking forward to this. We're still anticipating this closing this month and us starting to serve you beginning this date. Is there anything we need to know about your PO process, your standard payment processes? If you can ask them about their standards and internals, you'll know how close you are. Hey, are you the signer? Do I put your name first or somebody else? If you're dealing with a Bill, I have a son who's a William. Are you Bill on a contract or are you William on a contract? Do you sign contracts or does that need to go through the purchasing department? All of these things are questions you can ask that are not invasive. They're not, are you going to sign today? They're helpful. And again, in B2B sales, it's a lot of building that bridge of trust, and asking the right questions early enough is a trust builder.
I love that you ended that with trust builder, because that's what it's all about. If you are trying to sell something, you are transferring the trust that you have in your product, that you have in your company, to your prospect. We've talked about that a lot on this podcast. And that's what you're doing right now. And that's why you don't want to give away the discount at the end of the year to try to get the deal done, because that ruins the trust. That means, wait a second, if I wait one more day, do I get another % off? If I wait till December 29th, do I get a bigger discount? Because now I can do that. I'll come in, I'll skip watching the Christmas holiday movie for the 14th time to come in and get a bigger discount. Is that what you really want to say to your customer? Is that really what it is? Is it all about It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, and I get to see it for the 28th time, or I get to sign the purchase order and I get to have a 24% discount as opposed to a 21% discount? Because if I hold out long enough, that's what it's going to be. Now, I'll be honest, in my career, I actually went to somebody's house that week and had them sign on the kitchen table, had them sign the purchase order. But I was working for a big company. I didn't give them a discount, but you know what? It wasn't any fun. Sure, I got to meet the wife. That was kind of fun. I got to pet the dog. That was kind of fun. And it was fun to laugh about it after the fact. But it was not a stress-free environment. And it's not something that you want to do. What you really want to do is you want to get done by December 15th. You want to be able to kick back, have a few drinks with your customer, have a great lunch with another prospect, spend some time catching up, but you're going to do that the week of Christmas and maybe the week between Christmas and New Year's, so that you can get ready for the next year. And just like you're going to wrap up your year, we're going to wrap up this podcast for today, because we're right at 15 minutes. And I really do appreciate you being here. And I know Kevin does as well. So remember one thing, December 15th, the world ends that morning. Get it done. Thank you very much for joining us on this podcast of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We hope that we were able to share some valuable insight, valuable knowledge with you to make your selling adventures easier and more successful. Please join us every week. We drop these on Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. Also, please join us on LinkedIn, where we do a CEO workshop, and that CEO workshop is dedicated monthly to big questions that CEOs are having and how to grow their business and drive sales. You can find us on LinkedIn. Just search for Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. Thank you very much. Have a great day.